time a little girl twitches, I'm supposed to call out the National Guard.
How many people did he kill last year? Have you forgotten? Your own daughter?
I don't...
No, of course you don't forget. How could you? You never looked into his face, did you? You never saw his eyes. You never saw that nothing, no expression, blank. My memory goes back 12 years to the night when I offered. But I'm going to show you something. Look at this. Look at that. I prayed that he would burn in hell, but in my heart, I knew that hell would not have him.
Blood Podcast presents the season of Halloween.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood Mike Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from Coldsploitation.com, and I am here with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I wanted to change up the intro a little bit because I always say the same thing, but all I really changed was here.
Well, we have the same intro, same ending.
Yeah, we always do
calling cards.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I want to start this one off.
Sure, go for it. Yeah, there was only one episode where you actually led the thing, so.
But there's one thing that I kind of want to start this off, because it's a question you posed with Halloween 4.
Okay.
Because we've done previous marathons of franchises, one of them being for 2 years ago, we did the Saw franchise for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Saw fatigued. And you brought up, and it was about around the third and fourth film with Saw. And you asked last week after Halloween 4 if I felt fatigued. I said no. I'm fatigued, Ryan.
After 5, now you're fatigued.
This is the one.
Yeah.
This is the film that's
that really set in. Well, you know what? We're entering into the horrible territory. I
thought that we were already there.
Like 4 was really bad, and in that episode last week we contemplated whether that was the worst Halloween film. And then we get 5, and I remember 5 a lot more fondly than, what how I'm feeling about it now. But now we get another like 1-2 combo. Could be a KO combo of Halloween 6 next week.
And then Resurrection.
And you know what? The only thing that's good, maybe a saving grace, or possibly we made a terrible mistake, is that we have the remake Halloween. Well, I guess the remake sequel, Halloween 2018, set for the end of this Halloween season. So perhaps at that end, it'll be like a refresher. You'd be like, oh, actually, you know what? This is great. I'm so glad that we came out of this terrible series of films, and now, here's a great one to end things out. Or it could be even worse. You might
Just
get to it.
On to the shit.
Yeah, you might get to it and you'd be like, well, that wasn't as good as I expected, and also we've been sort of miserable in this Halloween, the end of this Halloween series, and so you're just miserable watching the new Halloween. I don't know.
Nothing but misery past 3, I guess.
I guess so.
But no, this is the one that when you go week to week watching these, this is the one where I'm checking out. Like, I can't believe this franchise has that big of a following just because of 2 films.
Yeah, basically. I mean, for the most part, yeah, 2 films. 6 sort of has its own weird following, and that's more so because of the differences in cuts, and that's really the biggest part of the cult following for that one. 4 and 5 are really those weird films that...
Well, they're not weird because they're totally in the slasher genre niche,
but they're the weird films that have sort of done well, even though they're not good films at all. And I think it's just basically due to they take place on Halloween, and for Halloween, channels show them constantly because they're very cheap to get the rights to. And I think, we talked about it in the last episode for Halloween 4. I remember that being on all the time on TV, and I think probably Halloween 5 even more. And that's why I sort of have this little nostalgia tinge for Halloween 5, that I seem to remember it, as you said, with rose-colored glasses. And now rewatching it, I really don't see the appeal.
I mean, I remember more. I haven't seen 5, just like 4. I haven't seen 5 in years, but I remembered 4 more than I remember 5. But there are things about like Loomis being crazy and like the whole like ending kind of sequence and the opening. It's all stuff I remember. But then like the whole middle 2/3 of that film is kind of like So,
well, it's pretty forgettable.
It was a blur, but I was like I remember Donald Pleasance. I remember they fixed the mask. I remember that people got killed, and that's
that's about
and
it.
Daniel Harris is trying to be Simple Jack in this film.
Well, it's Halloween 5-2 is like so easy to forget because it's just a super generic slasher film. We're now hitting. Let's see, this film is 1989. We're 1 year after Halloween 4, and it was like a 1-2 punch of just, let's get them out there. And you can...
And they had the plan of it all along to do so.
Have sort of a duo of films here. It's sort of like Halloween 1 and 2, and you can see the idea at play here. You can see the sort of inspiration. But at the same time, 4 and 5 are just heavily, like, the most generic slasher films that you can think of when it comes to just having random characters that you don't really care about and just non-important events that are happening throughout the films. And that Halloween 5 is the epitome of that. Just a lot of things happening that don't matter and a lot of characters that you don't care about that you meet once or twice, and that's it.
Cattle.
Yeah. And it's... I think that's probably why you're sort of fatigued with it too, is because 5 really showcases like this is probably one of the worst offenders of just cashing in. Maybe even more so than 6, because at least 6 tried to go in a different direction. At least Resurrection was attempting to change with the times.
Going to Blair Witch route.
Exactly.
With fusing it with Scream and...
But 4 and 5...
But even still with that's cashing in. They're like,
it's true.
It's like, well, we basically did Scream with H2O. Let's take that premise, because that's still fucking making Wes Craven and New Line a bunch of money. And this Blair Witch Project's a big fucking deal. Let's combine the two together. When you think about it, it is, it's progressive in the sense of like reality TV, because this is before reality TV really took off and became the giant behemoth that it is today with Resurrection. But it's still cashing in. It's not like they had an original idea like, hey, that film did this, made a shit ton of money.
It's true.
Let's do that. So you could do the same thing with like this film and put it with like a bunch of other, I mean,
basically with Halloween 5, that's what they did, right? They said Halloween 4 did fairly well. People went to see it at least. Maybe after they saw it, they were like, well, that wasn't very good. But at least they went to see it and they spent their money on it. So they rushed to get another one out there. And it's sort of the same idea as like what Saw was to the Halloween season.
But they had to be at least a little creative.
Yeah.
Saw, I mean, I'll give Saw one credit on one thing. Even though it's the same formula over and over again, they're still strapped, I think even more so than like other slasher films on how we gotta ante up the gore and and how the kills. They actually had actual traps.
You had to, yeah.
So they had and again, some films were lazy with it, but again, they there's more of an impetus because the whole shtick and cachet appeal of Saw is the trap. So they
I do agree, because like with Saw, whenever new news came out about Saw, it was like, what's the traps gonna be? And there was always that expectation, like they better be better than the last one. They better be more violent. So you're right,
or more thought provoking.
Yeah.
Like I always remember like the pendulum trap from like was it Saw 3? With the blade, and,
swinging back and forth. Yeah,
like it's like it's getting cool. Taking the. Ways you can kill, like maim people with sharp objects,
Yeah,
the well is pretty low to begin with.
Right,
you know?
exactly. Like with Michael Myers. They are
Like,
even,
oh no, you stabbed that girl with a pitchfork. Haven't fucking seen that, you know. And
they definitely have to stretch the believability of like even what Michael Myers would do when you get up to 4 and 5 because
he's driving a fucking Camaro. And
yeah, in the first two, there's really not very much difference in how he kills someone. Maybe he cracks somebody's face in 2.
boils them.
But for the most part, they're mostly they're stabbings. And so 4 and 5 are kind of having to stretch and say, like, what if Michael didn't always have his knife? What if he had to do something else besides that? So it's kind of playing around with that. And even like when you see in 5, they get rid of his mask for a little while too.
They should have just had him, you know, like, hey, Jason went to the Manhattan. We'll take him to Boston, you know, like have him at a Red Sox game. So,
Yeah.
you know, what shenanigans ensue there.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing about Halloween 5 too, and we talked about this while we were watching the movie, is that at this time, Halloween, despite coming before Friday the 13th, is actually cribbing a lot from Friday the 13th, the franchise, because at this point, Friday the 13th has already gone a little bit further than the Halloween series. It's already had
8, I think.
Yeah, it's already had a few more. Yeah, I think we were up to
7
Friday
or-
the 13th Part 8 in 1989. 1989 was Friday the 13th Part 8. So what you get is
You can't drop the subtitle on it.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
There you go, yeah.
But what you
know.
get in Halloween 5 is a psychic connection between Jamie and Michael Myers, and that's taken directly from Friday the 13th Part 7.
Dumbest thing ever.
Yeah. And
Donald Pleasance was right. Like that, they should have picked up where the 4th one ended and have it, you know, Michael's out of the picture now. Now it's a killer little girl.
yeah, they
At least that way, you know,
They
you're
really
doing
missed
something.
the opportunity because they don't bring it up at all in Halloween 5. There's not really a thing like, hey, Jamie, remember when you killed your mom? It's sort of dropped from there. And yeah, she's spending time in a children's clinic.
Well,
the
the only one that isn't like that is Dr. Loomis.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Loomis is not messing around. He's like, remember when you killed your mother? He doesn't really say that, but he treats her like a...
He didn't say it like that either. He shakes her
Yeah.
and tells her, like, hey, murderer!
All right, let's take a break before we get into Halloween 5 anymore, because I have a feeling that we're going to end a little early on this session with Halloween 5. There's not that much to talk about. But let's go into beer talk today, because I did have a little special treat for Martin and myself. I don't know how much people know about this company, but we've talked about it on the show before. There's a company called Hopsy, and Hopsy does a beer distribution, especially in certain areas like New York State, California, and I think they have another area as well that they do a lot of beer distribution. What they do basically,
I imagine it's going to be a big state. It's not going to
Yeah.
be like North Dakota.
yeah, I'm not really sure. I can't remember where the other one is, but I do know like they do beer distribution where they send local beers to you. So like I couldn't get a California beer here in New York. They're only going to send New York based beers. But what they have this system called the Sub, and the Sub is sort of like a Keurig machine for beer. It's a draft system that is really easy to store because it's a lot smaller than like your normal keg based draft system. It's not as much maintenance. And you can order smaller kegs called torps or torpedoes. They call them torps for short. That you stick in the Sub machine. It cools it down. It's basically like a little mini fridge. It keeps it cool for you at a distinct temperature. And then you can dispense it like a draft beer. And so I had ordered a Sub previously, but I had never gotten a torp to go with it because I just had a surplus of beer. But over this past weekend, I ordered a few torps because we're having a Halloween party, and I wanted to stock up on torps rather than buy an entire keg, because normally that goes to waste. Like some of the beer goes to waste inevitably. So I got 4 torps, and I popped the first torp in last night, and we tried it today. So this torp came from Moustache Brewing, and not a brewery that I'm familiar with at all. I did order 2 different styles of beer from Moustache Brewing, and the first one that I popped into the torp, or into the Sub, was called Late in the Evening, and it is their rendition of an English bitters beer. I know they call it an amber ale, so it's technically an amber ale. It's an English bitters. And I thought it was an interesting brew. The one thing that I did notice is that it's sort of on the flatter side. And I'm not sure if that's it because of my torp itself or the subsystem. It seems like it's not the sub because you do get a head on it that sort of dissipates over time, but it's a very thin styled beer in itself. And
it's only 4.1.
Yeah, it's 4%. It's very much, it's malty, got a slight tinge of hops to it, but the thing that really stands out is that it's very dry. Like an English bitters style should be. Fairly dry and on the thinner side.
I thought it was pretty good, despite it being a little, not as carbonated probably as I'd like it to be. But again, that's probably due to, as you said, style. Even though we do like, bitters, we don't have a very wide variety of them.
No,
so,
it's not.
So I've only had like a handful of them, and every one I've had, I've particularly enjoyed. Like I said, it's just not a common beer type.
Nope.
Or at least up around where we get beer. But I did like it. I thought it was, I would get it again. Probably just, or like another type and just see, if maybe it's the torp or maybe,
Yeah, I am curious to try another torp after I finish this one and see, does that one also come out sort of flat? Because if that's the case, then I know that it wasn't the beer itself. It's the torp instead. So it's hard to say. Still experimenting with that system. And, if I find out the other ones are flat too, I'm going to obviously talk to Hopsy about it. But,
and I was going to say, maybe because like also draft beer's not as, carbonated.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm not really sure. I don't know exactly, what's the issue, if it's just the beer itself. But regardless, I did enjoy it. I like that. I like it. It's very an English bitter.
Very
style.
drinkable. Mm-hmm. Very nice. Like you said, 4%. I'm pretty sure it's gone actually because my last.
Oh really?
Yeah,
it's gone already.
Yeah, when I went to pour my glass, I got halfway through. I'm like, I think we tapped it already.
I don't know about that. I don't know. It's 2 liters. So you think we went through 2 liters already?
Yeah, we both had 3.
Yeah.
So, but no, I liked it. Get that for Christmas for me, I guess.
What, a sub?
Yeah. So I can like wake up in the morning. And
they actually
have my cup of coffee and then they
tend to have good deals on the sub and for beers. So like if you buy them together, you get a pretty good deal on it. I think it's like $100 for the sub and 4 beers.
Really, only $100 for that draft machine.
Yeah, because they do deals on them all the time. So
I thought that'd be a lot more expensive.
I got mine for fairly cheap as well. I didn't order it through Hopsy. I ordered it through another company that was selling like a slightly used one. But yeah, it's actually the biggest thing that costs you money is to order the torps themselves, because in general, the shipping is quite high.
Yeah.
But if you order 4 torps, which is like $80 for 4 torps, you get shipping. If you don't do the cold shipping, if you just do regular shipping, you get it for $1. So that's the way to go. You got to order. Basically, it's cheaper to order 4, stock up, because you're going to get the shipping for a lot lower price. And if you did like cold shipping, I think it's like $10 instead of $1. So
we gotta have it right away as soon as you open that thing. Throw that,
Yeah, I didn't order the cold shipping. I just did regular shipping. One other major issue if you're going to order from Hopsy is that you have to sign for it. They will not leave it at all. And there's no like, they won't leave you like a slip or anything that you can just sign. You have to be there in person to sign for it.
It makes sense. Alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the only thing too. Like, make sure if you're ordering it, that you order it to a place that you either know you're going to be there or someone will be there to sign for it.
Now, does like the UPS guy like check your ID?
This would be a FedEx guy. I think it comes FedEx, and no, they don't check your ID. They just need to like verify that you look over 21. Like, they never have checked my ID before.
I was gonna say too, like when you buy, like you could be like 18, like if you look 21.
Right.
Are you 21?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. They have never done it before, but I guess if you looked younger, they probably would ID you. I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Or perhaps they just really don't care that much. They just want to get on their way.
They don't know what's in the package.
Yeah.
They're like, could be a could be a bomb for all I know.
Yeah. I did, the first time I ordered Hopsy, I did have them deliver it and just leave it on my porch. They didn't care. I guess that was not protocol. So the next time I ordered, I had a difficult time with shipping because I just assumed, they'd leave it again. No, they didn't. So one of my packages is stuck on a truck probably still somewhere still because they sent me out a replacement. So, but yeah, Hopsy, good stuff. I am looking forward to trying out new torps and stuff. It's pretty cool. All right, let's get into Halloween 5. We're going to do the best we can with this. As we said before, Halloween 5, again, is not a good movie. It's very similar to Halloween 4 in its quality. And again, it does resemble a TV movie in a lot of ways. I think...
Well, the production on this one's up.
Oh, yeah. The production, for sure, is increased a little bit. They've got some explosions. They've got a better mask.
I would say an actual mask.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, a little bit better makeup as well, I think, on Donald Pleasance for his burns.
The most eccentric 80s outfits out there.
Yeah.
Why does Tina have a pearl necklace around her, jean skirt thing?
Because she was being adventurous. And
is that because she's supposed to have sex that night? Giving her,
rip it off!
Her retarded boyfriend, cue, I don't want the pearl necklace where it's supposed to go. You put it here.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was maybe it's haute couture. And, she was really plugging the 90s in 89.
Yeah, well, can definitely see it. We're moving from, bright colors to pastel and neon,
Jeans. Lots of, jean and jean-related things.
We saw an episode of Full House, and that's, we gotta look like that.
In 89, no, but was it out in 89?
I think Full House started in 89. Yeah.
Maybe. I think Family Matters did too. 89. I don't know about Full House. Dull House I typed in, and that's true. 87! That's a lot earlier than I expected. Maybe they did get some fashion from Full House, for sure. Interesting. But, so Halloween 5, like I was saying previously, I seem to have fond memories of Halloween 5. Now watching it, I really don't understand what I was thinking. This film, in a lot of ways, it's different than I thought. I thought there was more nudity in it. Apparently I'm misremembering. Because there actually is none. So, again, it's probably now...
A lot of dry humping.
That's true.
In the hay.
Probably now, Halloween 4 and 5 would maybe get a PG-13 rating.
And it had to fight not to get an X.
Yeah, I mean, they're not very... First of all, they're not very violent anymore. And in this... Friday the 13th, I think, was pushing things a lot further than Halloween at this point.
I would say the gore in this one's definitely, out of all of them so far, it's, we do see... things getting impaled in heads and through the chest and stabbed through, the chest with a pitchfork. So it's a lot more violent and gruesome than the rest of the series. But no, you're right. Compared to other slashers of the day, it's
really tame. And I feel like, with all there's not very much swearing in it. There's not nudity in it. I feel like it probably would have gotten a PG-13 rating. It doesn't really push boundaries that much. It's very content to be yeah, it's as though Mustafa Akkad was thinking we're gonna air this on TV all the time, and he was just let's just make it easy for the editors and the censors. We won't put any nudity in it. We won't swear at all. It's just a very, I would say, tame film despite some of the violence.
Hell, during the roll in the hay, she was like, "Wait, do you have a condom?" And he was like,
that's a very awkward scene.
Which, by the way, too, they might as well, because, this is the 80s, mid to late 80s, so at that time, it's AIDS, so, they're
yeah,
you might as well just might as well just have them turn to the camera kids.
Right, exactly.
If you're going to have sex, even with someone that you trust and love and know, make sure you're wearing protection.
Yeah, it was like a PSA for protection, because it was very, obvious. Because she was I don't have anything, and he whips it out. It's great. Yeah, but the only thing is he must have gotten an extra small on accident because he's grimacing the whole time he's putting it on. It's at that point, it's like crushing his penis and balls. Maybe he wrapped his balls up in it too. Really went all the way down, just in case. You don't want to get any genital warts. Just if there's any risk at all, just wrap them all up. Plastic.
It'd be fitting, have the coach from Mean Girls right now, because it is October the 3rd.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Happy Mean Girls Day, people. To have him pop in and be like, if you have sex, you will die.
Yeah, I know. It's a very awkward scene.
The two were seen.
It's a very awkward scene in Halloween 5.
Somebody, please take that roll in the hay and
put Tim Meadows' voiceover on it for Mean Girls. Yeah, that's an idea. I could do that. Sure. But with Halloween 5, basically, like as I explained before, you get this.
Hey, it's a better budget too, because it's not just some fucking random farm field for the opening. Now they have this elaborate hack and slash for the pumpkin.
That's true.
Which is a nifty idea.
At least they followed the pumpkin.
But it's looks terrible. It looks like a New Line film that, type opening. And
I mean, I guess at least they did follow that format, which Halloween 4 just was like, never mind. We're going to try something new. And but at least Halloween 5 does go with that and stick to the formula. So I do appreciate that. But what you get with Halloween 5 is really a sort of a Friday the 13th light storyline about Jamie from Halloween 4, who now shares a psychic connection, and they don't really talk about her murder. They kind of forget that, but they put her in a child's clinic because obviously they don't really trust her out in the wild. And so her, it follows basically all of the same people from Halloween 4, and this time she has a psychic connection to Michael Myers. So whatever Michael Myers is doing, or at least sometimes when the time is fitting, she can see what he's doing and then warn people about what she's doing.
You would think they would show the part in Halloween 4 at the end, how does this happen? Well, they do have that slow-mo of her, when
in the mask.
Well, no, I meant, how did she get that second connection?
Oh, right.
From, touching him, and,
yeah.
You can be okay, the evil's transferred over to her.
The only thing that you really do see that
they don't show that. They just recap the firing squad scene, and then they add the touch of, they threw dynamite in the hole, but then we see Michael Myers sneaking out of there,
yeah,
making his escape down the river.
I think the only thing that they really show, and it's sort of a precursor to the cult Samhain stuff, is that he has a little tattoo on his hand. That
never been there before.
Yeah, I guess is supposed to signify not only the cult stuff that we'll get into in Halloween 6, but also sort of that he's partaking in the supernatural, and that's a catch-all explanation for this is why he has psychic abilities. Well,
So how did 8-year-old Michael he gave how'd that happen?
Yeah, somebody
picked him up and
grabbed him and was like, "You're gonna have this tattoo," and just put a tattoo on him. I don't know.
Don't worry, in 25 years, it'll all make sense.
You'll appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. So the whole thing, I think, is really stupid. The psychic abilities, for one thing, are totally unnecessary. Right? They only come into play when it's convenient for the storyline. It's not like we have Jamie constantly seeing through Michael's vision or, knowing what's happening. It's very, very obscure times where she conveniently sees what's going on with Michael. And so...
giant woman!
Yeah, it also doesn't help that in this film, Jamie has apparently gone completely mute because of her whatever experiences. She's had trauma, she's got PTSD, whatever. Again, not really explained, and you're supposed to just go with it. So it doesn't help that she has a psychic ability and she can't tell anybody about it. She can only spit out certain phrases. But I think that the whole psychic thing is really dumb. It's completely unnecessary for the film. If you didn't have it, would it really have any impact on the film whatsoever? Not really. You would still just have people getting murdered by Michael Myers and his main target being Jamie. Doesn't add anything to the story. So I think that is a completely unnecessary addition of supernaturality that doesn't need to be there, has never been hinted at in any other Michael Myers films, and just totally unnecessary for this one. I don't know why they went in that direction. And I think that Halloween 5 would have been way better off following the events more closely of Halloween 4 after Jamie's committed her murder and figuring out what to do with this character who ultimately doesn't change in Halloween 5. She's the same person basically as Halloween 4. And you would expect from that ending, and if seriously, if they had Halloween 4 and 5 planned together, that they would like at least have some, knowledge of what they wanted Jamie to do in this besides be just another like protagonist.
Well, I don't think they had an idea plan. They just had the idea of, we're going to make another one.
Yeah, this is doing really well, so put another one out there.
Because they had, I think, a different writer.
Yeah, it's completely different, and yeah.
So, I mean, I'm assuming they wanted to do another one, but they didn't care about the details. It's more like, well, worry about that,
Yeah, it's really interesting that they do so much to just forget about that whole ending with Jamie killing her mother. They really undersell that.
Well, I mean, in the fourth one, come on. Sheriff's daughter's dead, and he's just like, well,
it's true.
Another day in Haddonfield.
But I just think that if they did explore that a little bit more, we could have gotten a lot more interesting film than what we get, which is basically a rehash of 5 with Tina as more of a lead than Rachel, and Loomis is sort of like this martyr figure, who has now gone completely batshit insane. And has been apparently hanging around this children's clinic for what? I don't know how long. A year, basically, just standing outside Jamie's room, and every time she comes out the door.
I was saying, because if he still has his medical license at this point, then the medical board of Illinois has deeply failed, failed the people of the state with their health. Because in the fourth one, they're like, he doesn't really do anything. He's just got a ceremonial position, which again doesn't make sense. What the hell? Like, what do you mean? Is he a witch doctor? Then he could show up like, well, we don't know what to do, and he shakes his sticks.
What he does is he has a prescription pad, but it's like a toy one. So he just writes prescriptions to people.
They might as well have like the squeaky noises that they add for the fucking cops and shit.
Yes,
but no, like they're just letting him run around like this clinic, and leave this crazy man that everyone knows is crazy at this point. Like, leave him alone with a 9-year-old scarred child, who has trauma, so he can shake her and be like, you know where he is. Tell me where he is. He's alive.
That's probably actually why Jamie has gone mute. It's because she's constantly being badgered by Loomis, and so at a certain point, she's just like, I'm not going to talk anymore. It's ridiculous.
This makes me think of Airplane with, the lady who's, being hysterical, and Liam Neeson's like, please, get a hold of yourself, and then, slaps her, and then it's, just a conga line of people.
Leslie Nielsen, you mean?
Yeah. That's what I said.
You said Liam Neeson.
No, I said Leslie Nielsen.
No, you didn't. No, I'm going to play it back for you. You said Liam Neeson.
No, I said Leslie
I was
Nielsen.
Like, what?
Oh, that'd be great. I would love to see a modern day Airplane with
Liam Neeson.
But no, you remember how Leslie Nielsen goes through and they have a conga? That's what I assume at this point. Every day, 7 o'clock rolls around, Loomis rolls out of bed, drinks a fifth of scotch, heads down to the children's clinic, and then just shakes this child for an hour or two, walks away, eats his lunch, come back, shakes her again,
well, I think
threatening her, and then,
In this film, they make it pretty clear, so Jamie has a nightmare, she runs out of her room, she's, downstairs, and,
the maintenance man's
the maintenance man and the maid, the 2 out of 5 people that work in the clinic, are down there, they bring her back to her room, and Loomis is already there! He's been standing in the room the whole time! So, I imagine that Loomis has just been drinking, one of those, small, whiskey bottles. Not the, I don't know what size they are.
The one he got from the preacher from the last one.
Yeah, the one that's, behind the counter. Not a, taller size one or whatever, the liter bottles, but just, the one, quart size or whatever. And he chugged the whole thing, And now he's waiting for Jamie to get back in the room so he can sort of assault her again.
And traumatize her even more, yeah.
Yeah, it's great because I think really at this point we are meant to assume Loomis is totally off the walls. You said, especially towards the end of the film when he's confronting Michael and he doesn't even really see Michael, he's just talking to somebody. He's not even turned around yet to see Michael. He's just talking into the air. It does look like Loomis is having some sort of mental breakdown and just imagining that Michael is everywhere.
It would be great. Halloween 6, we find out. Just all in Loomis's head. He's actually been committed for 20 years. And everything from the past, 2-3 films is just all been in his head. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Nothing ever happened after Halloween 2.
It's just it's Dr. Sam Loomis. After that explosion, he went...
Honestly, that would have been a much smarter idea than to just keep continuing like the Michael Myers line, is that you actually have one of the last films, how you end the Halloween series, with just showing Loomis was crazy all along after... Halloween 1 and 2 happened. Sure. We'll keep it at that. But then the rest of them, 4 and 5, obviously people want to forget anyway. So just retcon it and say it didn't happen. Yeah, just retcon it and say it didn't happen at all. And everybody wins. You can go back and watch 4 and 5 and be like, that's why it doesn't make sense. Because it's in Loomis's head. He made it up. Yeah, it's a perfect idea. Maybe that's what 2018 Halloween's going to do.
It's going to be Jamie Lee Curtis,
Yeah, nuts, and she's just made it all up.
Well, she already looks it. She looks like the old, crazy cat lady, with her running around with her Winchester, hey, Michael's coming!
Yeah.
Which, at least it's look from the trailers looks more believable, because in H2O it's just like, don't bring up Halloween.
Yeah. Saying the word Halloween is too much for me.
You know how I get.
Yeah. All right, so we basically brought it up. What would you give the Loony Loomis score for this film?
Well, you know what? There's no retroactive changing of my scores so far. This one gets to 10.
Give it a big old 10, huh?
He's off the rails like the last film where I gave it an 8. However, this time he's actually assaulting a child, using it as Jamie as a hostage and bait, and constantly grabbing her and shaking her. So just that alone makes he's gone off because he's just
I got to give it a 10 as well, because at this point. So one of my favorite
threatens
moments,
an officer with a gun.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments in this movie is when they're looking for Jamie. She's snuck out of the children's clinic, and he just grabs a random girl who's going up the stairs, rips her mask off. It's not Jamie. He doesn't give a shit. Whoops. I don't care at this point. It's my favorite moment from Loomis.
Well, after you accidentally are the cause of manslaughtering a 17-year-old, 10 years
it's all
ago.
Downhill from there,
right?
Doesn't matter. No, he didn't get in trouble for it, so apparently it's acceptable. The other thing that I really like, sorry, I got a hair in my mouth or something here, so I'm talking with a lisp here for a second. The other thing I really like about Loomis is that he also does not care that a series of police officers are getting murdered outside of the house when he's waiting for Michael, because he holds up that one police officer via gunpoint, and basically he's saying everybody outside is dead right now, and I don't really care, and we're not leaving this house. We're waiting for Michael. So yeah, at that point he's sort of given up on even stopping Michael's murders. It's great. He has he's almost like Michael at that point. No real cares about human life.
Who's the real evil?
That's right. Dr. Samuel Loomis.
Well, yeah.
10.
Yeah, he's
10 for sure.
It's great, though, because he's the one shining point in this film.
Yeah, I guess. It's at this point...
I would say at this point, too, Donald Pleasance is phoning it in.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't care.
It has to be a pain.
Although you can't really say that, because you said he broke his nose during when they were filming the scene.
No, he didn't break his nose.
He broke
the
Michael's
guy
nose. Gotcha.
Beating his ass.
Gotcha. Oh, I thought you meant Loomis broke his own nose, swinging up and down. Donald Pleasance broke his own nose.
No, but it could be such interesting philosophical questions that, who is the real evil? Is it Michael? Is it Loomis? Is it both them? Who cares? It's all, especially, with just this ridiculous, corny crap.
Yeah.
The film, to be honest with you, because we've talked about it before when it comes to slasher films, by the fourth or fifth film, especially by the fifth film, they run out of ideas and enter the realm of parody. This film does that. However, I don't know if this parody is genuine.
I don't think so.
Or, unintentional.
This was definitely a cash-in.
I know, but so I don't know if, because of that, is the parody intentional? Is Michael sitting quietly with, a caveman mask on in a Camaro and then speeding around in it like an asshole? Is that parody? Or is that just, I can't tell. I'm suspecting it's supposed to be, what's Jason gonna do this time? Oh, he's gonna beat this chick to death in her sleeping bag.
Honestly, a lot of Halloween 5 feels like homage, right? It feels like
it's homaging of a different franchise.
Well, no, but I mean, it is also trying to harken back to the other films, the whole gunshot within the room. You have shooting 6 times at Michael, right from Halloween 1. You have the whole Michael being in a different sort of costume. So in Halloween 1, you had the ghost. Mm-hmm. In Halloween 5, you have him sitting in a caveman mask. And so there's that play up of those ideas from the original films, but it does make you just basically want to watch the originals.
But again, that's more stuff to that Friday the 13th did. And I hate to do a comparison, but Friday the 13th had more Jason's all of a sudden in this goofy situation,
Yeah.
They got not so, they lost their...
when he tears off an arm and he just kind of holds... Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I think they were definitely... I don't know if the parody was intentional at this point, but I do think that they were going for homage, and as you said...
Or, the fact that when they, figure out where Tina is, the whole squad... town squad car show, Tina, stay away,
Haddonfield has, 7 police cars respond just to Tina at a gas station. Where's the other rest of... I mean, how many squad cars does this little town have?
I was expecting it to be like the Blues Brothers, and all of a sudden they just start crashing everywhere and, flying all over the place, because...
That is pretty funny when they just start, sliding up to her, drifting.
The fucking cartoon Bulk and Skull music for the idiot cops.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a weird inclusion, too. I know they said it's an homage to The Last House on the Left, but it's such a... It's completely off tone from the rest of the film because it only happens twice when those cops are on screen, and it's slide whistles and boom, 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 boom.
Well, you said it literally sounds like Bulk and Skull's theme from Power Rangers, they're like, uh-oh, what are these two idiots gonna do?
It's such a weird inclusion. It's
not only that, the sound design in this film is fucking terrible.
Oh man.
The
sound is awful.
I'm not even talking about the soundtrack, which is, again, we'll talk about that in a second, but the sound effects they used, was that, I couldn't tell at the end, was that supposed to be a tranquilizer gun or a real gun?
Was, yeah. I think it's supposed to be a trank gun.
I'm is he Matumbo from Lost World, Jurassic Park, trying to take down, T-Rex?
Yeah. The sound is where they really cheaped out on this film.
It sounds like you're playing GoldenEye and you got the silenced, pistol, pew, 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 pew. And just other scenes, it's just it's hilarious how bad it is. It's just...
Yeah.
Oh, this time we got a good mask from Michael, so guess what? We had to make all our sound effects with a Dixie cup and some, vuvuzelas. It's just what we had. And a penny whistle. That's all we have, to work with.
While we're on the subject, let's talk about the score, because this is really going quite far away from even the Carpenter scores that are redone for Halloween 4. We're getting into territory where they basically have, I don't know, did they just cheap out on the instrumentals here? Was the intent to make it as minimal as possible? Really, what the score sounds like now is some guy just knowing the Halloween theme, but he's drunk and sort of just plinking around on a piano.
Well, as I told you, at this point, I think Alan Howarth is tired to death of doing variations on this score. He's not like Yuji Ono when it comes to like, hey, we need a new Lupin theme. He's like, all right, how the, great, I can, change it up a bit again, and constantly tinker with, the overall sound. I think in this one, he's taking the John Carpenter approach. Like, I don't fucking want to do this anymore. He just gets half drunk on a bottle of scotch and then just starts plonking away on his synthesizer. Like, fuck it.
Yeah, it's all of the sounds in the themes just seem really half designed. They just don't sound finished. It sounds like he started to like put some together, and then he didn't do the second track on it. Because like if you're thinking back to like Halloween 3, there's at that point some of the soundtracks are like multiple synthesizers layered together, whereas on Halloween 5. It's really just one synth that doesn't even sound completed.
Well, the main theme, too, is like just like this random synth score, and then they just kind of throw in, like, later in the title card, like, the actual...
I mean,
like, the kind of, like, the actual theme in there, because, like, oh, shit, we forgot to put that, put that in,
Basically, it is sort of like an out-of-tune piano just going, like... Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. It's a pretty miserable soundtrack. It's nothing like what I love about the Halloween themes. It's very far from even what we get in Halloween 4, which were very late 80s renditions of the Halloween soundtrack. Because that one included like synth drums and stuff like that. Well, now for Halloween 5... We're way past that. We're actually like back towards like taking apart sort of like a deconstructionist view of the Halloween theme. So it doesn't really instill much atmosphere in the movie itself. Hey, one thing we didn't talk about, we talked about the Camaro, but we didn't talk about the guy that owns the Camaro. His name is also Mikey, and he's a complete asshole in this. He sort of looks like a combination of like Rick Moranis and the Fonz, like thrown together. Like,
oh, I'm the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like low rent John Stamos from Full House.
Yeah, it kind of does look like that too. My favorite thing is that like he has no personality whatsoever. He doesn't even talk really at all, except to say "get off my car," and he just has no character besides loving his car to death
and wanting to have sex with his girlfriend.
Even that, though, he doesn't really seem that interested in it. It's more like, we can, but I'd rather smoke a cigarette and look at my car some more. My favorite of his is when the face he makes when he sees the like little hoe smashed into the car. And he's sort of his like a ridiculous like open mouth face going on.
Just like, oh.
Yeah, he can't believe it.
For someone who loved that car as much as he did, he was pretty calm when Michael takes that and, digs it. He's like, who did that, Instead of being like, my fucking car, he's just like, hey, who did, I'm gonna beat you, oh no.
He's also pretty aggressive with his car, like, he's gonna need tires real quick. He's fucking burning rubber all over the place with those.
He went to the Michael Myers school of driving, kind of like how Michael was driving like a drunk in Halloween 1, which, again, is the great unsolved question. Where did Michael Myers learn how to drive if he was locked away?
In this one, he's actually pretty good at driving that Camaro.
He whipped that thing around he drives like an asshole, too, but he whipped it around after, Tina's like, I want fucking cigarettes. He's like, slams the brakes and is like, perfectly rolls that thing back instead of hitting like a stoplight sign.
No, he's a professional driver and he never learned. That should have been his trade. He doesn't need to kill people. Just become a professional driver. Stunt driver. We didn't talk... There's kitties in this one.
So pointless.
Yeah. Like I said, that's the thing about this movie.
You think they just found cats one day on set
guess.
And they're like...
I mean, that's the thing about the movie, though, is that, like, a lot of the scenes in this film are just pointless. Just strung together because they needed something to hold the plot together. We needed a couple things to...
And it's an hour 40.
Right, yeah, it's an hour and 37 minutes. It's very...
At least with Halloween 4, it was 80 minutes, like...
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sort of like...
Didn't feel like it, but, at least it was... This one, they felt the need to slap on 20 more minutes.
Well, the thing with that is the finale is very long. The chase sequence at the end of the film, when Jamie's running from Michael Myers, is such a long scene with her going down the laundry chute, him like stabbing into the laundry chute. It takes forever. And
so it's like the whole barn scene, you know.
There's just no tension to those because they're not paced well. They just don't know how to pace those scenes where it's, you know, like a short 5-minute sequence, but very tense throughout. There's just nothing there that's suspenseful about it. And part of that's the score. Part of that is just, I don't think Michael Myers is that spooky in this film either. The elements where he used to crop up in the background of things and just sort of be a white face on black textures is gone. And replacing that is him being very clearly in the background of something. And at that point, it goes from being like scary to just a dude in a mask who's standing around weirdly.
And at this point, it's not even scary because every Halloween, some asshole's like, "Oh, Michael Myers," you know.
This one really capitalizes on it. It's like there's like 2 or 3 sequences of somebody else wearing a Michael Myers mask.
Yeah, so, yeah, in Haddonfield, it wouldn't even be creepy at this point.
And that is, I mean, the cops, those dumbass cops are right, though. That's a fucking stupid thing to do in front of cops. To be wearing a Michael Myers mask with a knife when you know that there's like Loomis running around being like, "He's here! He's here!" You know, it's probably not a good idea. Loomis has already killed a person wearing a Michael Myers mask.
I would say indirectly.
Yeah. You do not mess around with that shit. You would think like everybody now growing up, their parents are like, you know,
like if they saw you leaving the house, like, "The fuck are you doing with that mask and jumpsuit?"
You don't know the town madman who runs around killing people in that mask? Yeah.
Loomis has become like the town crier for like, you know,
you would think that would be an ingrained thing in Haddonfield. Like, just do not wear that mask.
You think they'd send him like to the local church to ring the bell, like, you know, like Quasimodo.
Yeah. What's that sound? Oh, that's just Loomis ringing the bell again. He thinks Michael Myers is back.
Speaking of the whole Halloween, one thing that they kept in tradition with most of the Halloween films, doesn't feel like Halloween.
Well, you know what?
Not one decoration in sight. A nice sunny day. Warm, bright, beautiful. Hell, as we talked about Mikey and his Camaro, it was he's got a convertible and he's got that top down. So obviously it's, you know, in the nice 40-degree Halloween day in Illinois that it would be like, nah, got that top down. He doesn't care. Right,
like this one takes a step back from 4 because 4 at least did have quite a few Halloween decorations and it looked like Halloween. It had fall, leaves, colors changing and stuff like that. 5, I think part of the problem was that they really rushed to shoot this film. And obviously when 4 came out and did so well, they had to get it in production. And so they didn't shoot it during autumn. And so everything looks very, very green and warm. And I think even at one point, Tina asked if they want to go skinny dipping.
Yeah.
And if you live in anywhere that's somewhat cold during fall, you'd be like, "No, I don't. My dick's going to shrink inside me. It's not going to impress anybody." The water's going to be like 50 degrees. So yeah, no, that's just not something that happens in a northwestern environment.
Northeastern?
Well, northeastern.
Midwest.
Yeah. Northwest. It doesn't matter. Anywhere in that vicinity for fall, you're not doing those things.
Yeah,
like
I don't think I've ever in one of our Halloween nights like, let's go skinny dipping.
No.
You know?
No. Not that. No one's riding around with their tops down. It's just not happening. So yeah, this one is really does not.
I like the cold too, but
I like the cold too, but I'm not going to go around doing that for sure. I just like it being crisp, not freezing.
Yeah.
And so this one really doesn't get. It doesn't look like Halloween at all.
I would love to see the movie where Loomis is just running around taking down Halloween decorations. Just like stop it. There is calling card. He'll know what day it is.
Don't put those up. Yeah. Did we hit on it? Is that it?
We didn't really talk about the kills.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that much to talk about. Like we I mean, there's a...
They're not creative.
No, they're not really.
Not a single one. Again, like, they've all been ripped off. It's like every, I hate to say it again, Friday the 13th, but it's like, just like any slasher film already did it 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, in this one, I'm trying to think of the kills. There's a pitchfork, a couple of stabbings,
which did it in Friday the 13th, Part 3. Jason uses a pitchfork.
Yeah.
When they're in the barn.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
There's,
the scissors.
Yep.
That,
Scissors was just a stabbing again. I mean, it's basically just a stabbing. You have...
Oh, they did have the guy from The Exorcist show up and just Tommy gun down everyone at the police station.
Yep.
Which
doesn't make sense in this film because Halloween 5 basically treats this guy in Exorcist regalia.
Well, he's not only that, but when the shot of him walking to the,
the
police, it looks like it's supposed to be like an homage shot to The Exorcist.
I mean,
minus the fog. There's no,
So the dude shows up 3 times in the film. He shows up the first time when Michael's driving, and he kind of walks across the street, and he shows up another time in just a random scene, and then at the end of the film when he kills everybody. And the film treats it as though, like, this is, like, an episode of a TV show. And next episode, we're going to learn more about this guy. But the thing is, there's not another episode. Nothing's coming. It doesn't make any sense, and the film just sort of ends. It's like, do you know what this guy is? Well, we don't either, so just let it go. He just kills everybody. He lets Michael go. But you don't need to know anything about it. It's just such a weird inclusion, because it feels like a lot was cut to make room for that never actually happened.
Probably. I mean, I thought it was funny when, we're sending him, Michael off to a high security prison. He'll never, escape. And then they show him sitting all chained up, and he sighs. He's just like...
Oh man, they got me.
They got me.
Yeah.
I will say one of the best scenes is at the end, though. We did briefly talk about it, but when Loomis sets up the Scooby-Doo-esque chain net that Michael can't get out of, tranks him 10 times, and then just goes ape shit with a board, beating the hell out of him, and then just passes out on him as he's yelling, "Die!" It's great.
It's a fun scene.
See, it turned out it wasn't Michael Myers that he was beating the hell out of with that board. It's just some dude.
Yeah. It's just another guy in a mask.
This time the manslaughter charges are going to be upheld, and he's not. He's not.
Yes.
But that I don't know about you, but I thought that was
yeah.
great.
No, it is. I mean, it's a good scene. Like where did this net come from? When did they set up? When did they set this thing up?
When did old man Loomis, who barely can walk? Because we saw in the last film when he was trying to hitch a ride, and he's limping around trying to get to that car of the high schoolers that are making fun of him,
Yep.
Where did he get the time to string this heavy net is capable holding Michael down for a little bit? Where maybe it's just seeing Michael gives him an adrenaline rush to where he can do it, or same thing. How did he swing that goddamn 2x4 so much that
he beat up Michael, knocked him out.
Not very well, but
Yeah. All right, I think we covered it. I think we did Halloween 5. It's kind of crazy that there's just not that much to talk about in this film. However, we got to give it a rating. We've done all the other ones. Out of a scale of what do I want to give this? Out of a scale of sexy French maid outfits, what would you give Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers?
That's not even in the title.
I know.
It's so... Do you think they ran out of, they didn't think to put that on there, so they slapped it on all the promotional material afterwards, or they just didn't have the room to put it on the title card? And
they had the room. I just think that they decided later on that they were going to do The Revenge of Michael Myers. Yeah.
I'll give it a 4. I'll give it the same grade as Halloween 4, even though I like Halloween 4 more, barely. And that's only because this is a better produced film. It's got better production. It's shot more competently. Overall, it's produced much better than the fourth one, outside of the sound and score department. It's just it's like a rehash of 4. Like, they took the same concept, but then they just took the same story and then just added, now Jamie's got a psychic connection. And even more so than 4, this one's harder to follow, boring, bland, and pedantic. With every character in this film is, even Loomis at this point, as enjoyable as he can be, he's, getting hammed up so much to the point where it's like, it's getting ridiculous. The kills are very uninteresting and dull and boring. Like I said, this is a film trying to be something that the franchise wasn't really to ever in the first place, and you can tell it's just cashing in on ideas that other films made money off of.
Do you remember what I gave Halloween 4? Did
5.
I give it a 5? Yeah. I'd probably give this film a 5 as well. I think I would match whatever I gave Halloween 4. I think if it was a 5, I'd give this one a 5 as well. And that's because I think, for the most part, they're equally bad for different reasons. This one, I fucking hate the soundtrack on it. I think that the plotting is pretty stupid, especially with this whole psychic connection. If you got rid of that, I mean, the plot still wouldn't be good, but at least you wouldn't have a ridiculous aspect to it that doesn't really come up in the previous Halloweens. I don't like that they just kind of got rid of everything with Jamie from the Halloween 4. They didn't go into details about her killing her mother or anything like that. And the kills, you're right, are super bland. And overall, the whole thing is quite boring, just like Halloween 4. Even the fun stuff that you might expect from a slasher film is not here. There's no nudity. The violence is pretty tame in comparison to other films releasing in the 80s. I mean, The Mutilator had fucking somebody getting a hook shoved up their vagina. You don't see that in Halloween 5. This could have easily been a PG-13 movie. Yeah, it's just super boring, and it's really probably another one of those worst Halloween movies. Except as we get further and further into this series, I think 4. Well, outside of Rob Zombies, because those are special kind of bad. I will say, because we're gonna skip over H2O because we already reviewed it, but 4, 5, 6, H2O, and Resurrection are all, I would say, bad films. Almost all of them are equally bad. I think we'll kind of sort that out after we get done with Resurrection. Yeah. Which one, before the remakes, are the worst, but they're all bad, but at the same time, they're all unenjoyable for different reasons. Yeah. It's not the same thing. I agree. Again, with Halloween H2O, when we reviewed it, why is it bad? Because it's a poor man's Scream. Yeah. A very poor man's Scream. Just kind of like how a lot of those films after Scream came out, and how we reviewed 90 with all this 90s slasher films, I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is one that we had very great nostalgia for, and we're like, wow, this sucked. And then Urban Legend, one we didn't have nostalgia for, hey, that was better than these ones. So it's different reasons. But after we watch 6, I'm probably, even though we're not doing it for the show, I'm probably gonna watch H2O just to see, go back to it and see how I feel now after watching 4, 5, 6, and then we're gonna be watching Resurrection as well, just to see, was H2O as bad as I thought it was when I watched it back when we did the episode. I guess we'll see.
But
yeah, they're all bad in different ways. And I think they're pretty much, like you said, equally bad. They all have pluses and minuses to them. Probably the biggest plus about Resurrection is that it brings up, there's more nudity in it. Same thing with Halloween 6. And Halloween 6 has Paul Rudd. So
minus Sierra Nevada.
It's true, but right there with Paul Rudd, you go up a couple points.
Now we still haven't decided which cut we're watching.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm thinking we probably should watch the producer's cut.
Just because it goes more into the shit fields.
Yeah, I think we should probably watch the producer's cut. But, yeah. I think so. I can put a poll out and see what people think. Mm-hmm. just to see.
I haven't seen the extended cut.
Oh, okay.
So I've only.
So
seen
it probably
the
would be the best one to do, but I'll put a poll out just to see real quick what people think, and so we haven't really decided yet before next week's episode. We'll have to hash that out. Yeah, I think that's it. Halloween 5 down, and 3 to go out of the series that we're doing. There's more than that, but we already did Halloween 1 and 2 from Rob Zombie. We're not going back to those again.
They have a special place in my heart for levels of hatred.
Yeah, we're not going back to those again. If you want to, you can go listen to the episodes. But
now, it's funny bringing that up, though. I'm interested because I know there were people who didn't find... I don't know anyone that liked the second one. And when we reviewed it, that was the first time that I'd seen it. However, I think I might have brought it up when we reviewed the first remake. A lot of people liked it. Mm-hmm. It's been 10 years now. I want to know, like, are those people still out there? Are they now, like, if they watch, like,
yeah. There's still people that like it. I mean, there's still people that like Rob Zombie in general, so.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying it's not nearly as big. Like, you're not going to see the same people probably running around saying, like, when they saw the Texas Chainsaw remake in 2000, like that was good, and that probably now, like,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Because we moved past that trend of...
True. Yeah, definitely was a trend there and that we kind of got over.
Of hellbilly crap.
All right, so thanks for listening to our season of Halloween episode on Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. We're going to be back next week with Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. And we're still undecided on whether we're going to do the regular cut or the producer's cut. You can listen to us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, any other podcasting app that you can think of. We're on it, so give us a listen, follow us, and give us a nice rating. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Blood and Black Rum Podcast. We're on Twitter at Blood and Black Rum. We have an email address at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. And if you so choose to help us out with some funding, we do have a Patreon page on our Podbean account where you can donate to us monthly. $1 a month gets you episodes at least one day early when we can get them up that early. And as always, we appreciate you just helping us to cover the costs of what it takes to do a podcast for free. So thank you for listening. We will be back again next week with Season of Halloween, Episode 6. And we hope that you will join us. And apparently the Yankees are doing fairly well tonight.
Aaron Judge just hit a home run.
During the wild card game because Martin's celebrating. So, all right. Thanks for listening. We're going to go watch the game. See you later.
Go Yanks.